Welcome back. We're Simply Bitcoin. We break down the news from Twitter, the daily fail, meme review, software releases, hardware releases, and the websites by plebs. Joining us today, very special guest, fellow Bitcoiner and host of the Lightning Junkies podcast, The Chaz. That's right, he's joining us. Okay, but first, we're going to the numbers. Let's do it, people.
Number time! Brought to you by Bitcoin 2022. Get your tickets now before the next price increase in 12 days and take advantage of the link down below for 10% off your ticket to Bitcoin 2022.
At the time of this recording, the block height is 710,342. The Bitcoin price, 56,820. Chain rewrite days, 746. Total public Lightning capacity, 3,247.84. A new all-time high. That's right. We know it. Moscow time, 1760. And blocks to the halvening, 129,658.
You know what I have to say about this, Phil? And I was about to tweet this, but I saved it to drafts, okay? The responsibility, the price right now, right? I put total 100% responsibility on Dennis, okay? This was completely caused by him. This is his fault. And, you know, I think as a community, we should all be very angry at him. That's my opinion. What are your thoughts, Phil?
I definitely... Okay, when we went down below 57, I was like, you know what? I might actually want to call the 58 gang for some help to pull this thing back up. I was like, 58K gang, come on! You know, like you were there when we didn't want you. Now we need you to come back. Where are you?
So, where are you, Dennis? Where are you?
We need your help. Screwed here. We're getting screwed on both sides.
We need your help, Dennis. No, but all joking. All joking, dude. You're an effing legend. You called it. That's epic as hell. Yes. Super funny. I think you're pissing off a lot of people in the good way. Yes. But anyways, in these times of desperation, Phil, you know what time it is. It's Nico Glassnode subscription time. Nice. And get ready, everybody. We are about to inject some hopium directly into your veins. However, big disclosure, right? We show you raw data. And with that raw data, you get to decide what you want from it. And I also want to point out that just because something has done something in the past doesn't mean it will do it in the future. Okay. Anyways, that being said, check this out. This is called Realize HODL ratio. And let's read the description. A high ratio is an indication of an overheated market and can be used to time cycle tops, right? Right. So let's look at the cycle tops, right? This is 2011. This was the 2013. This was the 2017. And very interestingly, right, this is, you know, the current situation that we're in, right? We're not even close to that dotted red line, right? So, and also very interesting, right? This is the all-time high that we hit in, really, it was like mid-year, right? 50, what was it? 54, whatever. And this is, right, we're at 65, or we were, right? But it's interesting because it's at the same level, right? And we're no near close to that red line. Now, again, this is hopium, and this is why we call it hopium, right? But it's nice to see these things sometimes, right? And again, like, you know, these indicators doesn't mean, past performance isn't indicative of future results or whatever, but it's nice hopium, right? What do you think, Phil?
That's some serious hopium. That, I mean, are you kidding me? Like that's ridiculous. I'm looking at that and I'm like, what? Look at that gap. We have so much to go.
Yeah, we do. Anyways, if I want to get, you know what, Phil? Listen, our guest this is the first time that we've ever had a guest live from 35,000 feet. So we want to welcome Chaz. How you doing? Incredible internet connection, by the way.
Oh, I know. I had to pay for that extra, the extra Wi-Fi up here. They charge a lot on the private ones. So, yeah. I think it's really interesting, that chart. When there's that much of a separation, there's no conclusion you can reach other than it has to go up to meet it. It has to.
That's true. It's true. I mean, look.
It's true.
just by our body postures, I think what you guys could surmise what me and Phil are saying, me and Phil are thinking, but that doesn't mean we're going to tell you. Anyways, Phil, it's time for
the Daily Fail. The Daily Fail is brought to you by Amber App. Check them out, amber.app. It's Bitcoin made easy, the easiest way to buy Bitcoin. Check out the link down below. I didn't forget. Today I remembered. Yellow, tell them what's up.
Umbrel, the smart way to stack sats.
As I was just explaining, it's just three individual tweets. We're not diving into a major long fail story for today, but these are epic failures nonetheless. Let's dive into each of them. So we've got Count Bitcoin. Shout out to you for putting this together. Look at this YouTube thumbnail. Now, obviously, we're not going to show the video, right? But take a look at that, right? Are regulators coming for crypto?
Wait,
and behind bars, he has Bitcoin.
Oh, I think he realized on the SEO that crypto is a better, it's a better search. It's a better search thing, right? But anyways, Phil, could you scroll down a little bit, because Gigi said something really wise, really wise. Live by the growth hack, die by the growth hack. Ooh.
Bingo.
Ooh. Now, okay, so hold on a second, because so this is a very fine line, right? Because we do attempt to do our version of thumbnails, and we do attempt to do our version of,
hyperbole.
Hyperbole.
Yes.
Hyperbolic.
We're destroying that word. We're killing that word. I'm sorry.
Yeah, butchering it completely. But you guys are probably used to this by now. But yeah, so we use catchy thumbnails. We use catchy titles. However, big however, right? You could see that Pomp started with Bitcoin, right? And then he slowly, right? You'll see his evolution of his thumbnails, right? And you see the evolution of his titles, and that comes to one reason alone, right? If you put crypto in trust me, you could download so many different little YouTube apps, right? And they'll tell you exactly what title's good, what to search for. Like, there's a science to this. If you use crypto, right, or any of the shit coins, they're much better searched than Bitcoin, right? So it's incredibly difficult. It's not difficult, right? It's just, here's the thing, right? You grow slower if you don't use those terms, but you get to keep your soul. That's the positive part, right? So we would rather keep our souls here on Simply Bitcoin. I know a lot of you in the comments like, wow, you guys should have more fucking views and all that stuff. That's why, because we purposely don't deal with shitcoins. We only use Bitcoin in our thumbnails and our titles, and because of that, right, we don't rank so well, right? Anyways, Phil, what are your thoughts? And again, we're not really good hopium dealers, right? And we're not really, trying to give you price predictions or any of that either. So, all those addicts aren't really going to like Simply Bitcoin videos, right? We try to stick to only the signal for you guys. But Phil, what are your thoughts?
I'm going to take a slightly different spin on this, even though obviously what you just explained is, it's correct, but I'm going to take a different spin to that screenshot, right? So you see how he's got the Bitcoin logo behind bars, and he's talking about the regulators coming for crypto. So it's this validation by association thing, but at the same time, it also creates this FUD narrative that Bitcoin has something looming, okay? And what, again, right, we've shown time and time again, right, the regulators and all that stuff, they can stifle it for a time, but it doesn't make a difference. They have absolutely no control over the network. Although with your crypto and your shit coins, you absolutely have to worry, okay? You do have to be concerned. They all have a head you can chop. Every single one of them has a door you can close, okay? So that's my spin on this. Like, it's just, it's just, again, it's the clickbait, right? But it's clickbait in this like disingenuous, shitty way that for a noob, they get concerned. And at the same time, if they don't know enough, they think that all these other shit coins are validated because Bitcoin, and they're not.
Correct. And look, just to clarify, I know, look, we always appreciate the work ethic of content creators, and we're not trying to take away anything from that, right? And Pomp really does work really incredibly hard, right? But we just don't agree with his methods, right? We're trying to take a different route, and we're trying, again, it's exactly what Gigi said. I think Gigi summarized it perfectly in that tweet, right? Is you live by the growth hack, you die by the growth hack, right? And in a way, when you start playing those games, right, where, the typical YouTube thumbnails, right? Again, like, yeah, you will get more clicks, you will get more engagement, you will get more views, absolutely, right? But at the same time, are you really doing it to help the revolution, right? Are you really doing it for self-promotion, right? Just a thought. But anyways, Chaz, what are your thoughts on this?
So, Pomp, the first time I ever saw that dude's name was when he followed me on Twitter and then 2 weeks later unfollowed me. That old growth hack back in the day, like that was years ago. And he's basically the only person that on Twitter that has that big of a following that I do not follow back because of those reasons. And so, in my opinion, basically, he's falling into the trap that the altcoin promoters want him to fall into. He's being a very good altcoin promoter in the sense that, like you guys were saying, the altcoins have something to worry about for regulations. And so they kind of need the kind of cover of Bitcoin, or the, people just saying we need regulation. Regulation is going to happen. We can't resist it. Let's just bring it in. It's great. It's wonderful. Let's just eat it up. And then they get to kind of enjoy the riches of that position. Like, kind of Pomp is taking the kind of lion's share of, of the numbers, basically, and I have a hard time really getting the sense that he cares about, like, the actual revolution or Bitcoin or whatever. He cares about enriching himself first, and then maybe I'll go down to El Salvador and I'll see what's going on later. I don't know. I've never really liked Pomp, to be entirely honest.
Yeah, look,
that makes all of us.
Yeah, I think everyone has, a different role to play, right? He's definitely taken the route of the influencer, right? That's 100% for sure. But again, you know how it is, guys, to each their own, right? So, everyone has, if that's the way that you want to do it, go ahead. Anyways, Phil, what is
You ready?
Bring us. I'm always ready, Phil.
All right. The next one is brought to you by the right-click assassins. No, I just made that up. All right, here we go. I downloaded all 10,000 of those ugly, lazy lion NFTs and turned them into a mosaic of a person right-clicking. That's at Concrete Hodl. Thank you very much for posting that. And I believe it was ICOsonaut that tagged us in this. And don't get me wrong, but his reply is great. I'm sorry, but that's such a great GIF.
Man, that's incredible.
Yeah, that was good. Okay. So anyways, I just thought that was... Huh?
So what are you talking about? So what is all those downloaded 10,000 GIFs?
Oh.
I mean, no, sorry, not GIFs, NFTs.
NFTs, yeah. So it's just a bunch of NFTs of lions, right? The ugly, lazy lions.
But where did he download them from?
Oh, well, no, we're getting to that. But unfortunately, we're not allowed to show everything.
No, we could talk about it. We could
talk about it, but we can't show. Anyways, all right. I digress. Let's get into it. Grubels posted this, but it actually came from, I believe, Jeff Huntley. Good morning. There's a torrent of all the NFTs on Ethereum and Solana. That's right. And I just want to point out, okay, so this is every single NFT all there. You can just go download the whole entire thing.
Unfortunately, we cannot attest to that, and we will.
No, we can't. There's just a screenshot.
We will not be able to provide a link for you either. But here's a screenshot of the Pirate Bay thing. Yeah.
But I just want to point out something that Jeff wrote. Did you know that an NFT is just a hyperlink to an image that's usually hosted on Google Drive or another Web 2.0 web host? No way. No way. Okay, I can't show it. I'm sorry. Anyways, but look, guys, this is This is what we've been saying. It doesn't matter. You're paying for a hash. You're not paying for actual ownership rights of that image. You're not. You think you are. I know you think you are. What was that called again, Nico? It's representation of ownership. What does that even mean? That it's pathetic. Like, representation of ownership for a JPEG makes no sense at all. How does it help you in any way, shape, or form? It doesn't. And look, this guy just proved it. Okay? And he is definitely getting a lot of crap, but it's proving a point. You are paying for a unique hash. You are not paying for ownership of that image. And when somebody buys it off of you, they're literally buying the hash off of you.
Exactly.
They're not buying the image. Stop pretending. Okay, anyways, Nico, go.
No, you're spot on. It wasn't the hashes that were stolen. The hashes are still there. It was the actual image, right? And why was it the actual image? Because you can make a copy of an image. I printed this out so long ago, right? And it's like this guy, it's like, oh, you Bitcoiners, you know, like, look, I right-click saved and I printed, right? Like, it's not that hard. Then you actually have these companies that sell these stock photos, which we talked about many times. And what they do is they put a watermark, right? So that watermark, right, shows that, hey, you don't own the rights to that image, right? And that's their way. It's a pretty effective way, to be honest, right? To show you that, look, they don't own the rights to that image, right? But apparently, right, because these people, right, and I see it, you know what? In the Bitcoin kindergarten, we were talking about this yesterday, and I said, listen, Bitcoin's a cult, okay? But here's the thing. Their cult is wrong and our cult is right. What do you think, Phil? Okay,
you know what? First of all, we're the cult of sound money. That's what we are. We're the cult of sound money. You could be part of many cults, okay? You could be part of the, you know, the fiat money club or the fiat money cult, right?
Dude.
And there you go. You know, you worship devaluation and inflation and all of that crap. So, you know, you could be
Phil,
part. Yes.
Phil, hold on a second.
What?
Okay, hold on a second.
Are they not a cult?
Joe Biden whisper. There's a pyramid with an eye on the back of the dollar. That's fucking weird. Have you ever thought about that? That's fucking weird. That's so weird.
Well, did you ever read the Latin? It says New World Order.
No.
Yeah, of course. Go read it.
Really?
Are you serious? Come on. This is old conspiracy stuff. This is like super old conspiracy stuff. Hold on. I wanted to. Yes, I have to point out for the NFTs, though. I apologize. I know we could go down a rabbit hole for that for a really long time, but I just wanted to go back to the NFTs quick. I saw something absolutely cringe today on YouTube. Okay. I saw the Post Malone video. You know that guy whose face looks like a high school desk with all like the drawings. Like, so I saw Post Malone video and he's buying an NFT. So again, I know it's me making fun of all the tattoos. I totally appreciate all of that good stuff. You know, people can do whatever they want with their bodies. I have giant stupid stretchers. But what I'm saying is that this guy is being used to sell and shill NFTs. So they show him buying an NFT in the video at the beginning, and all of these people are cheering for this. But again, this is nothing but bag pumping. This is nothing but bag pumping. Like, they paid. I'm digging. I'm desperately trying to find somewhere proof that they paid him to do that. I'm 100% sure that he was paid to do that in his video. Okay, so they show him buying an NFT. I'm sure that there's a trail showing that like that money never left, and if it did, it came right back. Anyway, that's my opinion. Okay, I just think it's cringe, and this is what they're doing to suck people into this garbage.
My opinion is that I like Phil stretchers. Okay, I just want to get that on the record. Okay, Chaz, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I think I want to say first that simply Bitcoin has the correct opinion about NFTs. Just saying, they're just fucking hash strings. The end. So besides that, though, I find the whole torrent thing very interesting because it kind of obviously shows what's kind of going on here to some extent. But I actually wanted to point out a very egregious NFT that I'm not sure if you guys saw this like a few months back or something like that, but it just stuck in my mind of Gary V. I'm not sure if you know who Gary V is. but like he's a promoter guy, you know, that's all he does. It's promote himself like a kind of supercharged pomp, actually. And so he's launching an NFT restaurant where you do, I don't even get it, man. It just, once I put that into my brain, it begins to melt, and then I don't know where to go from there, you know?
So hold on, Chaz. Is the food a picture of food that's tied to a unique hash? Or is the food tied to a unique hash, and once you eat the food, all you're left with is the hash? How does that work?
I think the food is food,
interesting.
And the rest is a scam. So,
so there is real food involved here.
Dude, I would think so. I think that's the entire point here, that NFTs aren't really bringing anything unique. Like, they're a ticketing system. Fine. If you want to do that with hash strings, with colored coins on Bitcoin in 2015, go for it. That's where most people in Bitcoin first started touching NFTs, was with rare Pepes, or even before that, on Counterparty. And it was stupid back then. Like, not to say anything bad about the rare Pepe art itself, but the concept is dumb. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I completely agree. And, you know, man, it's just so freaking stupid. It's just so dumb. But I mean, look, I feel like the shitcoin entrepreneurs, right, or scammers, or whatever you want to call them, I feel like they come out during the bull markets, right? They hide during the bear. They're like, they recess, you know, and then during the bull, they're like, we're back and we have something new for you, right? And like 2017, it was like the ICO boom. Right? And it was like the ICO, this is the next new token, right? And then now they just like repackaged bullshit, and they're like, it's the NFTs, this is the future, you know? So I'm just very curious what happens next time. Like, what are they going to come up with? But we'll cover it here first on Simply Bitcoin. Anyways, Phil, it's time for the daily meme reviews. Brought to you by Citadel 21. It's the best Bitcoin cultural zine. Get yourself a physical copy. There's only 1,000 made per volume. This is volume 8 and volume 9 just released. Look at the beautiful artwork. It's unique for every volume. And they're scarce. There's only 1,000 made per volume. And check this out. We're going to do a double header because it says Crypto Cloaks right here, down there. And they sponsor us too. So it's a Citadel 21 and Crypto Cloaks. Get yourself a copy of Citadel 21 today. All right, so the daily meme review. First one is brought to us by Patrick B. Spot the Spooks. Excellent handle. And anyways, let's check it out. You guys really have to understand Bitcoin culture for this one. So this one's a tricky one, right? But this, I'll give you a hint, this relates to the price. So he's sitting on a chair and he takes away the chair, then he stands up and he keeps looking at the price. That's the only hint I'm going to get you. If you know, you know. Next one. All right, by Greg Zag. Do you believe in human rights? No, you're hired. Federal Reserve. Awesome by Greg Zag. Next one. Fuck you, Dennis. When you get paid during a dip to 58K, a part of him lives within me, doesn't he? Just look at him, guys. He's responsible. He is responsible. Okay, next one. All right, you guys know the drill. Sometimes we show pictures instead of memes, but they still convey a powerful message. And this is My Legacy Kit. Funny. This is the level of Satoshi evidence that the Craig Wright provides to the court. Also, we will cover that very soon, but we're waiting for a guest. Anyways, what were you saying, Phil?
So wait a second. All we have to do is sign the white paper ourselves, and we are Satoshi?
No. But check out what the lady had to say. Had dinner with Craig Wright, a.k.a. Satoshi, last night at a beautiful waterfront. Craig Wright, a.k.a. He wants to let you know he is Satoshi Nakamoto. Says it right there. But he wants to let you know.
But I don't understand. Does he just carry this around with him?
No. The lady brought him I'm assuming a printout of. That's weird, but anyways, okay.
Yeah,
moving on.
This all sounds very staged.
Very suspicious.
Typical Craig Wright maneuvery right there. That's not even a word.
And we got the last one by the legendary Yellow, who he already made his appearance. Maybe he'll make a surprise appearance.
No.
Anyways, and it's Samson Mao playing the drums. And that is because today I set up a Blockstream satellite base station at the Le Geo SV Berlin geothermal plant, where the Volcano Bitcoin mine is located in El Salvador. I added that part. The facility is now connected to our satellite network and receiving Bitcoin blocks from geosynchronous orbit.
Uh-oh. Is that the whole internet going down narrative disappearing?
I just want to point out that Nico read
closer
this word.
And closer.
Nico read this word. Okay.
You did read that word. You did very well.
Geosynchronous orbit. Boom. What the F is going on? Okay. Anyways, yeah, dude. So good luck shutting down Bitcoin. Are they going to shoot down the Bitcoin satellites now, apparently? I don't know. Phil, why don't you go first on the score?
Oh, man. Okay, you know what? I'm going to give a score that's going to be one of those kind of like insider scores. It's going to be one of those if you know kind of things, okay? And I am giving it this Hacker Quarterly edition 2600. That's what it's called, the 2600 Hacker Quarterly.
Ooh.
And if you know, you know.
Very cool, very cool. So I'm jealous of Phil's mic. So what I did was I got a keychain, a reckless keychain. Ooh. So now I have his mic in my hands. What about you, Chaz?
Wait a second, that's not right. That's not right at all.
Chaz.
Right. Sorry, Chaz. Go ahead.
I think
got my mic in his hand.
I don't have a mic in my hand, unfortunately. I wasn't that prepared, sadly, but I'm going to rate it a... Oh, man, I just messed up my mask thing. So please edit that out if you don't mind.
Will do.
I'm going to go ahead and rate the memes a TARDIS.
This is epic. Is that the light up one?
It is not a light up one. This is just a basic one.
But isn't that the
that
police?
I keep on my desk.
Isn't that the police hut from that TV
Yes!
show? That
From
British
Doctor Who.
Doctor Who, right?
Dude, it's epic. The TARDIS, I mean, don't get me wrong. We all, like putzes, have cars. Really, what we need is that. Okay? Every single time you step out of that thing, it's a new adventure. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
You kidding me?
Yeah, it's true.
I'm a huge fan of Doctor Who, as you can tell.
So the inside joke about the mic is because Phil was jealous about the mic. So
I'm still jealous about the mic. You know, he still hasn't sent me anything.
I flipped it around. You know, I gaslit him. Right.
I still want that mic.
I've been learning from the corporate media. They've been teaching me so much about gaslighting. So
I'm second besting it here, Nico.
No, you're not.
This is second besting.
No, because someone like Chaz who's into lightning, which one do you think he's gonna like more? The orange pill or the lightning bolt?
Be honest.
To be fair, I actually really like the orange one. Like it looks really cool. The crypto cloaks did it right. Mm-hmm. So I would love if they made one for the Wave microphone, but it's a little niche. So
you know
he
what?
Needs to make all of them.
I'm going to censor that part out of the video because it doesn't fit the narrative, and that's what the media does, right? And we definitely want to do what they do. But anyways, Phil, it's time for the Daily News. It's brought to you by CryptoCloaks.com. Get yourself the best 3D printed Bitcoin merch, like this El Salvador colored Bitcoin Freedom grenade art and the Bitcoin Honey Badger. It has a little space for a cold card. Visit CryptoCloaks.com today. Okay, so... this is another Simply Bitcoin We Told You So moment. We told you specifically, right, that when they said they were going to taper off and raise the rates, they physically couldn't. And the reason was, to use Max Kaiser's own words, you can't taper off a Ponzi, right? So this is an official, I don't even know what the comments look like. Right, press and pitch. Congrats more on. I love Twitter.
That face. That face is priceless, right there.
She's actually a convicted felon. Okay, but anyways, let's see what the convicted felon, which is also the head of the European Central Bank. She's a convicted felon, and she didn't serve any jail time. Why is that? Rules for thee, but not for me, right? The elites don't play by the same rules that us peasants do. But anyways, let's see. Bitcoin fixes that. Anyways, let's see what she has to say.
if we were to take any tightening measures now, it could cause far more harm than it would do any good. In the face of spike inflation, to even hint to tightening in the short term would actually hurt the economy and would begin to have effect at a time when inflation begins to...
Okay, so complete contradiction, okay? Because she just said, right, that if they taper off, it would increase inflation, but isn't that the exact opposite that it's supposed to do? But at the same time, if she taper off, it's going to shut down the economy.
No, Nico, wait.
We called this, by the way.
But she just said that if they do this now, as inflation is coming down, and we just reported that number of record inflation. Yep. So, this confusion is completely on purpose.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Sorry.
No, I think you're spot on, and I think that, again, if you were listening to mainstream media, they're not mainstream media anymore, right? They're corporate media. If you're listening to corporate media, right, you wouldn't know this, right? But two idiots on YouTube have been calling this out since January. Why? Because the record amount of money printing. And what does that do? It doesn't take a rocket scientist to add 2 + 2. Even though they want you to think that money is requires a PhD, I would actually even go to say that if you have a PhD, you can't understand Bitcoin. That's the pattern that I've started to notice. But anyways, Chaz, are we talking shit?
Well, of course, but I think that's a good thing. So in this case, I think it's really absurd because it's the exact same rhetoric we've been hearing for literal decades. So if at some point they're we have to push the can down or kick the can rather down the road by a decade, fine. Okay, maybe that would have made sense in the 80s, maybe. But we've printed so much money. The United States is in such ridiculous amounts of debt. I think they're basically saying we have to kick the can. We have no other choice. If we don't kick the can, we're screwed. If we do kick the can, we're screwed. We're just screwed, guys. I think that's the thing that they're trying to communicate.
I would even say that there is no more road to kick the can down. They've ran out of road and they're still trying to kick it, and the can's bouncing off the wall and coming back, and they're like, let's kick it again. But yeah, man, it's complete and utter clown world. And I think that there's an observation, I might be wrong here, but in the downfall of the Roman Empire, the same thing started to happen, which was the moral decay of society was very closely correlated to the decay of the money, right? In the beginning there was the Roman Republic, right? The denarius, which was the currency of the time. I'll pop up the actual numbers, but it had a certain amount of silver, right? I don't know if these numbers are accurate, but it had a higher proportion number of silver. Let's say 95 or 85% of the coin was made out of silver. Towards the end of the Roman Empire, right? It had 0.0000 something. Right? So they did the same thing. They debased the money, right? And then society decayed with that. Now, is that a cause? Is that a thing? Could that be just a coincidence? Who knows, right? But again, just something, an observation. But anyways, check this out. There's kind of a takeover, right? And again, we've said in the next 10 years, right? The wealthiest people in the world are going to come from the Bitcoin industry and unfortunately the shitcoin industry, right? This is the future, right? This is where everything's going. They're already taking over NBA arenas, right? And I refuse to report this, but then there was three arenas. This has a happy ending. Okay, there's 2 shitcoin ones and there's 1 Bitcoin one. So the first one is the Staples Center, which was the arena for the Lakers, became the Staples Center Crypto.com. Ugly ass name. And they bought the naming rights for $700 million. Now, it wasn't only the Staples Center, and I apologize because this is from Miami, okay? Miami Heat bet on shitcoins with $135 million naming rights deal, and they gave it to FTX. So now instead of the American Airlines Arena, it was renamed to the FTX Arena, right? But now, check this out. Apparently, I'm not a Miami Heat fan anymore. I'm a Houston Rockets fan. Houston Rockets today announced a partnership with NYDIG, a leading Bitcoin company, as the official Bitcoin service partners, Bitcoin platform of the Houston Rockets. NYDIG will be the franchise exclusive partner across a range of shitcoin services. But NYDIG is a Bitcoin company. I love how they put cryptocurrency. Okay. Anyways, the sponsor will be paid in Bitcoin, and the proceeds will be held on That's weird. We pay you in Bitcoin, but we're not actually giving it to you. It stays with us. Anyways, really smart from NYDIG. From basketball, I'm not going to read that, but you guys get the point. Clearly, there's an association with, Bitcoin and shitcoins are starting to seep into society, right? The Staples Center, right? It was the Staples. That was like the giant mega chain. I think they sold office supplies, right? Took it out. The shitcoin company took over. Miami, unfortunately, sucks. It was my American Airlines Arena, right? And if you saw it from above, because the planes when they're landing in Miami, you pass right over that, and there is a giant emblem of a plane on top of the American Airlines Arena. Is it going to have a giant turd on top now to represent it's a shitcoin? I have no idea. But again, apparently, Let's Go Texas, Houston Rockets, right, are associating themselves with a Bitcoin company. But it's funny because they got paid, but they never received the Bitcoin. So it's like, we owe you this Bitcoin, but it's not going anywhere. It stays with us. Anyway, that's funny. Anyways, Phil, what are your thoughts? And then we'll get Chaz.
Okay, so everybody needs to see the movie by the South Park creators, Basketball. Okay, because at the beginning, they talk about exactly this with all the teams. In this case, it's teams changing cities and stuff like that, and essentially all these sponsorships coming through, and eventually you end up seeing Preparation H Stadium and stuff like that. So, I mean, this is just par for the course, right? But I do agree with you. I think that it would be, which I don't expect them to be accurate, but I do think that they should be putting logos of their shitcoin, but surrounded by logos of shit. So that way it's very clear that this is a shitcoin sponsored arena. People should know, right? But I know that they're not going to be honest. Instead, they're going to make it sound like it's something wonderful.
I absolutely agree.
But I do agree about the whole everything seeping into society, which is fantastic, right?
That's the signal. The rest of the shit is fucking noise. Okay, yeah. Like who the fuck cares, right? But the signal is right. How far, you have to understand, Bitcoin is only, 12, 13 years old? And the fact that it's gotten to this stage is absolutely incredible. That's what I want you guys to pay attention to, because that's the actual important part. Who the fuck cares what arenas are named, right? Anyways, Chaz, what are your thoughts?
So 2 things here. First thing, I would like to point out the history of crypto.com in case people aren't aware. In 2017, it was actually an ICO that launched called Monaco, and they had a debit card scam. I'm just going to call it a scam. And
they still do, by the way.
Right.
And it was a scam.
Yeah.
And it's
still
is.
A scam. Yeah, but they've managed to. I have to give it to them. They've managed to make their marketing a lot better, and they bought that one dude's website, the guy that had the crypto.com website, for a stupid amount of money, and did all this. And so I think the one thing I would point out besides that is the change from like 2017, 2015 type actions, where I remember people were paying for ads for the Super Bowl, or maybe sponsoring one like the Orange Bowl or something. I think I remember. And now entire stadiums are being named after things. And so it seems like we're kind of on this incremental increase, or not even incremental, but like exponential increase of, they have this much money, and now they just bought they just bought Tesla. That's probably stupid, but they just did something really, really over the top with all their stupid money.
Yeah, hey, shitcoin behavior, fiat behavior, and shitcoin behavior is very similar. Have you noticed that Bitcoin behavior is just completely alien from that shit? Right? It's like you want to save, you want to conserve. Shitcoin behavior, it's very similar to fiat degeneracy, right? Just saying, right? Again, might be a coincidence, but who knows? But anyways, I'm going to end the news segment. It's a little dark, but we have to cover it. It is a big deal. I'm going to start it off with this tweet by the legendary Stacey Herbert. Our friend, he's an American, just landed in Miami from overseas, and the border agent asked if he was carrying any Bitcoin. I suspect this is going to ramp up. Now, the problem the state has is how do you take 12 words or 24 words out of someone's mind, right? How do you do that, right? And then again, right? Bitcoiners just saying, do you carry the number 3, right? Because it's really showing that. Come and take it, right? This is very powerful, this image, right? Because that is the strength of Bitcoin. I'll put it to you this way. What can you take to the grave? You could take some Bitcoin to the grave. You could just literally be like, you're the only one that memorizes that seed. Unfortunately, you're going to die. You throw that seed into the ocean, oop, it's gone. You just made everyone else a little bit richer, right? So anyways, that's the strength of Bitcoin. But moving on, I'm going to tie this in with what's going on. It's not that big of a deal now when Bitcoin is sitting at $1 trillion market cap. But this is going to be all-out warfare when Bitcoin hits a $10 trillion market cap, because it will actually start to become a threat to the way that nation states are used to operating, right? They're used to operating with the power of the money printer. Bitcoin is a direct attack on that. It's a threat to that. And you could kind of guess what they'll do, but this is just the beginning, right? But anyways, check out how this article is worded, right? And I kind of want you to connect this with what Stacey was saying, right? A border agent was asking, if he was carrying any Bitcoin. You see how they're treating this, right? Mm-hmm. There's cognitive dissonance here, right? And look, so IRS sees crypto seizures worth billions of dollars next year, right? So they're already telling you that they're going to be able to seize crypto next year. My question is, how? How? Right? But look at how it's worded. The Internal Revenue Service could seize cryptocurrency valued at billions of dollars that's linked to tax fraud and other crimes in the coming year, according to the agency's head of criminal investigation. The IRS seized $3.5 billion worth of cryptocurrencies during the fiscal year of 2021. They want to let you know that even with self-custody, even with securing your seed, they could still get to it. A figure that accounted for 93% of all the assets seized by tax enforcement that year, according to an IRS criminal investigation annual report. And this is to quote from IRS Criminal Chief Jim Lee, I expect a trend of crypto seizures to continue as we move forward into fiscal year. In the past, the IRS criminal unit seized billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin and other virtual currencies connected to cases involving a range of criminal activities such as wire fraud, money laundering, the distribution of illegal narcotics, and tax fraud. That included $1 billion was stolen from the Silk Road, an online Bitcoin exchange that was shut down in 2013, right? Now, here's the signal, and I'm going to connect this with an article in a second. Congress recently granted the IRS more ability to surveil cryptocurrency transactions in the infrastructure package President Joe Biden signed into law on Monday. That law will require crypto brokers to track and report transactions to the IRS in an effort to give tax authorities more viability into virtual currency trading. Now, here's the thing, right? When we've been covering this tremendously, right? What they want to pass is every time you send, regardless, it doesn't have to be to an exchange. If I wanted to send a $10,000 transaction, over $10,000 transaction to Phil in Bitcoin, right? I would have to report his name, his social security number, his address, and the reason as to why that transaction occurred, right? And the way that article, you have to understand, this comes from corporate media. It's trying to frame it so it's like we, the state, still have total control here. we could still crack this down. They are not mentioning, it wasn't mentioned anywhere in that article how they intend to do so. How do you pry 12 words out of someone's mind? If you geographically separate your seeds, let's say leave them in different countries, right? Literally geographically separate them, bury them in the middle of a forest. How does the US government able to seize that? They don't want you to know that though. Why? Because it completely changes the power dynamics of everything, right? So this is a giant paradigm shift, and what we've been telling you is take your Bitcoin off exchanges and take it into self-custody, and more importantly, secure it properly. Preferably learn how to use multi-sig. This is going to get nasty, especially if you live in a country that benefits from the legacy financial system, specifically the United States, Europe, and China. You already know which route China went down, right? So anyways, Phil, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, that's definitely, I mean, look, if I was a shitcoiner, I would definitely be worried, right? But to your point about the transactions, it doesn't make a difference whether you're a shitcoiner, you know, or a Bitcoiner. If you're using the fiat legacy system and you're making transactions that are over $600, every single one of these things is going to get flagged, or, you know, not necessarily all looked at, but they're definitely all going to get flagged, which is creepy as hell. I mean, look, you know, we're just moving more and more into that, you know, that sad dystopian future. And what's really scary, right, is that these are fellow humans that are essentially voting to imprison all their future generations and themselves. Like it's the strangest thing I've ever seen, where the incentive to, you know, kick the can down the road is so high that you're willing to create monetary slavery all around the world.
Absolutely.
It's pathetic and scary.
It is, and look, this doesn't mean that
it's not going to happen for sure.
We're not supporting any of those activities, you know, illegal activities or whatever. But
it's not about that.
But think about the concept, right? These people want to know, the state wants to know every single transaction that you do between other human beings. What is that but not control, right? What is that but not control? And again, what is the Fourth Amendment? Or is it the Fourth or Fifth Amendment? It might be, I'll pop it up which one it is, but it's unreasonable searches and seizures. Do you think this is unreasonable? Every single $10,000 transaction, I have to give a social security number of the person I'm sending it to you. And here's the thing, is this enforceable on a wide scale? No. But what they'll do is that they'll pick a couple people, they'll make examples out of them, just like they did with Ross, thinking if we give this guy a double life term, this internet market thing will never happen again. You know what happened? 5 other Silk Roads popped out, and Ross is still in jail. So this idea that you could just punish people, look at the drug war, right? This is like, let's put all these people in war. Did it stop drugs? No. Right? So again, it's psychotic. It's psychotic and it's anti-human. And it must be defeated. AML and KYC laws, we've discussed this over and over again. It doesn't stop crime. We showed you the receipts. In fact, we're going to have the guy that wrote the paper on the show, I think, next week. It's so inefficient. It only stops 0.1% of the crime. So it's like, what are they for? Are they for actually controlling the population? Our theory, we can't know this for sure, is yes. Chaz, what are your thoughts?
My thought is I think I'm going to need to fill out a CTR on both of you, because I think both of you have transacted over $10,000, and we need to file this with the federal government immediately to make sure that we're pure people right now. I don't know, man. It does make me really nervous, to be honest. That my ability to resist that, you know, I can put the seed and have like a multi-sig, that's fine. But I guess I'm worried about the $5 wrench attack that, you know, the government's going to say like, okay, you're not going to just give us the seed. Let's just go in this back room really fast. We'll see if we can change your mind, kind of thing.
We'll lock you in a box. Exactly.
Yep.
So they do, you know, the state does have a monopoly on violence, right? And I think that this is, you know, if you kind of want a glimpse, I really recommend reading the book The Sovereign Individual, right? And he really lays this out, how this is going to play out, because the chaos is caused right now between the transition from the industrial age to the information age, right? Before, governments, the state, had a monopoly on information. Have you noticed the censorship? Have you noticed that the corporate media is just trying to sell you a narrative? But for the first time, we are able to directly communicate with each other on social media. So we're able to see things and talk amongst each other. And now the gatekeepers of information are freaking out. They're panicking, right? So their reflex move is, let's censor more, right? And now here's the thing. You add more chaos into the mix, they're also losing their monopoly on the creation of money as well. So it's two things happening at the same time, and it's creating a fuck ton of chaos. And The Sovereign Individual predicted this shit in the fucking 90s. So you should definitely read that book. But anyways, I'm going to end it on a happy note, because it looks like there is some good people left in the swamp. Check out this tweet by Gary Brito, which was texted to me by Nick Can't Mind. Shout out to you. So check it out. Good morning. Some good news. A comprehensive bipartisan, I think that's the key word right there. A comprehensive bipartisan bill has just been introduced in the House to fix everything wrong with the infrastructure's bill crypto tax revision, including the unconstitutional S6050I individual reporting mandate. This is the mandate of the $10,000 rule that I was just talking about. So he's saying it right there, unconstitutional. Why is it unconstitutional? It's against the Fourth Amendment. But if you look at corporate media, right, they're feeding it. They're already trying to prepare you. This is happening anyways. Ha ha ha. Let me put on the glove. Okay. But anyways, moving on. Bitcoin Magazine, I stand corrected, I'm sorry, kind of covers it in this excellent article, right? It says, Representative Patrick McHenry and Tim Ryan have today introduced the Keep Innovation in America Act, a bipartisan bill seeking to fix the digital asset reporting requirements in the infrastructure bill turned into law this week. To quote him, we have to figure out how to balance consumer protections and reasonable oversight while simultaneously providing these technologies and companies with the necessary space they need to grow, innovate, and democratize the financial sector. Representative Ryan has said in a statement, I'm committed to finding that balance, and I believe that McHenry-Ryan legislation is the best path to get us there. In September, a tax change introduced in the infrastructure bill would require U.S. persons receiving over $10,000 in Bitcoin and shitcoins to report the sender's personal information to the IRS, extending the provisions of Section 6050I that currently only apply to cash transactions. The new bill aims to remove these reporting requirements entirely, right? So again, you guys know the drill. We are single issue voters on the show. We don't give a fuck whether you're Republican or Democrat. We care. Do you support Bitcoin or do you not support Bitcoin? If you don't support Bitcoin, we don't like you very much and we will call you out for it. So again, it's what I was saying before. You're seeing a clash, right? You're seeing the state trying to maintain control, right? But at the same time, it's like, if you pass these totalitarian laws, guess where all the Bitcoin is going to go? El Salvador, right? So again, the Ukraine, right? Like the places that least benefit from the legacy financial system, they're seeing this in the Western democracies that have always benefited from the money printer. They're going to be saying, Bitcoiners, come here, bro. Portugal, no capital gains tax for Bitcoin. It's like the better flag theory starts to play out. And remember, in the legacy financial system, the fiat system, try to transfer cash between banks in different countries, right? Try to do that. With Bitcoin, it's like, okay, let's get up and leave. It's like, but they'll check us at customs. It's like, okay, let's take some time and memorize the seed phrase and take everything with us. Literally take all your wealth with you. That is the power of Bitcoin, right? That is the clash. And what you're seeing is the state trying to cope with that, and they're having cognitive dissonance. They can't even, they don't understand it. They thought that they built this moat that was so secure. They were so confident in the legacy financial system that it's coming to ass. And we have front row seats for it. It's amazing. Phil?
Oh man, you just got me thinking as you were explaining that. I'm like, you know what? Somebody could just sit there and like use a book, right? And underline the words like randomly in a book. Like, how would you know? Like it's completely insane.
Could you imagine? Can you imagine? It's like, why is this word underlined? Tell me right now. Is this a seed word? Is this a seed word?
It's like, and like, what are you supposed to, like, how are they going to know? This is totally nuts, right? And you can see, right? It's just what you said. They're lashing out. They've got nothing left, okay? The two things that brought them the most power is quickly slipping out from under them because, let's be honest, they were abusing it and making all of our lives much worse as a result. And interestingly enough, certain people in the government are still continuing to do this for whatever reason. So I just, you know what? I was really glad that you finished on that tweet because that previous one, man, was brutal.
Yeah,
that was definitely brutal.
I'm trying to paint the overarching macro picture here because I think a lot of people get lost in the noise on the day-to-day bullshit. But because we're in this privileged position where we have to do a good show for you guys, we have to cover this every fucking day, you start to build a pretty good picture of what the fuck's going on in your head, right? And then you supplement that with excellent reading material, right? The Bitcoin Standard, the Sovereign Individual, and you kind of get an idea of what the fuck's going on here. We are witnessing the death of the traditional nation state and the separation of money from state, and it's not going to be pretty. These people are not going to give over the keys, right? They're just not going to do it. So again, the best way to do it is just store your seed properly, fight in legal avenues, right? Make a ruckus on Twitter, stay active, right? You saw that tweet from Christine Lagarde. She's trying to tell you like all official, and then you scroll down, all the Bitcoiners are like convicted criminal, So it's like, that's how we fight back, not with violence, but with words, with calling out the truth, staying principled, staying on top of this, staying active, receipts. Showing the receipts, showing the proof, right? That's how we fight back. It's going to be brutal, but Bitcoin wins. Anyways, Chaz, what are your closing thoughts?
So I think in the 90s, as I'm sure both of you are aware, there was the crypto war where the US government tried very hard to kind of, clamp down by making PGP illegal or whatever. And Adam Back, made that shirt and said, go fuck yourself. I think that cat and mouse game is going to continue to some extent. Like, I'm not going to try to predict too far out here, but I think, before the destruction of the nation state as we know it, we're going to continue to have, like, they're going to continue to bring out their guns. We're going to come back with something else. So maybe something like the Lightning Network, maybe something like channel factories, whatever other Bitcoin science fiction you want to pull out of your ass there. But I think we're going to, continue down this line, and the government can't win. Like, they didn't win in the 90s. They didn't win before that. It's at best, it's a stalemate. And I think at some point the stalemate will fail and they'll lose. But that's my opinion.
Yeah, and it's funny because when Adam Back came on the show, he mentioned that example specifically as well, right? Which is the crypto wars in the 90s, and it's absolutely fascinating. And look, when we say the death of the nation state, we don't mean the destruction of America. What we mean is the separation of the creation of money from politicians. So the traditional, like, let's go invade a country, let me press the money printer. Try doing that on a Bitcoin standard where everyone holds their own money. That's going to be incredibly difficult, right? Because each individual has tremendous amount of individual power over the collective state, right? So that's what we mean by the death of the nation state. The United States of America, it's literally designed for this, right? The founding fathers understood the evil, right, of absolute power corrupts absolutely, and they tried their best to decentralize the government as much as possible. But like we've said, right, it starts to decay over time, right? So now you're seeing even more centralization. But I'm bullish as well because each individual state has so much sovereignty over the federal government, right? So you see Texas, right? They're flexing their muscles because they're trying to protect the Bitcoin mining industry. They're not going to let that go to the federal government. That's a huge portion of their economy. Florida, the same. Wyoming, the same. So the federal government could say, Bitcoin this. And what we predict is going to happen is you're going to see something very similar to what happened with the marijuana industry, right? Federal government took a strong posture, and it was the individual states that said, nah, marijuana is legal here in California. Marijuana legal is here in Colorado. So we suspect it's going to happen, take the same path, but this one's going to be much uglier because it has to do with money, and that's where their power comes from. And they definitely don't want to give that up. But anyways, Phil, there was a open source software release today. Why don't you tell everybody about it?
Software releases. Brought to you by CipherSafe. Get yourself a cipher wheel. Protect your Bitcoin from disaster. Specifically, protect your seed from disaster. Fireproof, waterproof, pet-proof, tamper-evident. All the good stuff that we love. All right, check it out down below. All right, we've got Umbrel version 0.4.7 that was released. Check it out down below in the show notes.
Awesome. Thank you, Phil. All right, guys, that was our show. Before we go, subscribe to us on Rumble and all the podcast platforms, because the things that we're saying might piss off the wrong people, if you know what I mean. And, of course, definitely check out our awesome guest. And I want to say something about our guest, because he said something really interesting in the beginning. Because he came on and said, hey, I don't follow you on Twitter. And he's like, you don't want to follow me. You might not like the things that I have to say. And I'm like, that's exactly the type of person I want to follow. So definitely give him a follow. And you can give him a follow. His handle is @TheChaz on Twitter. And yeah, he's a lightning junkie. You know, he has the thing. And he's a dope private plane. He has nothing else. He just has the private plane. That's it. He sold everything else. And I heard he told me before the show that he's selling the chairs on the private plane. So it's just going to be a private plane, empty and stuff. Anyways, guys, if you enjoyed the show, smash that like button. And if you want to continue hearing the catastrophic news, because it really is, from the Bitcoin pleb perspective, and also the catastrophic fails from the Bitcoin plebe perspective, then consider subscribing. And we'll see you tomorrow, guys, for the weekend edition of Simply Bitcoin.
Bitcoin, it's about time.